on behalf of Queensberry Promotions, along with their great sponsors, Riyadh Season, 32 Red, and Unibet. It is sanctioned by the British Boxing Board of Control, steward in charge Matt Harris, timekeeper Martin Fallon. Our 3 judges assigned, all from England, will be Lee Every, Howard Foster, and Terry O'Connor. Our referee in charge will be Kevin Parker of England. Introducing to you first, fighting tonight out of the red corner. He comes to the ring wearing black with gold and weighed in officially at 10 stone 6 pounds. Coming to us from Wolverhampton, West Midlands, England. He is undefeated with 11 wins, 1 win coming by way of knockout. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the current Midlands area champion, Jermaine, the Kundalini King, Osbourne Edwards. And his opponent across the ring, fighting tonight out of the blue corner. He comes to the ring wearing black with orange and weighed in the same as his opponent, 10 stone 6 pounds. Hailing from Northampton, England, he has a professional record of 12 wins and just 1 defeat. Ladies and gentlemen, here is the former WBO European champion, Eithan Jermaine James.
Jermaine, Ethan, you both know the rules. I expect a clean fight. Remember to obey my commands at all times. Above all, protect yourself at all times. Touch gloves, 10 rounds.
So the final instructions from referee Kevin Parker. It's an eliminator for the English welterweight title. Eithan James back in the ring for the first time since losing his unbeaten record against Owen Cooper in March, and back into an important fight against the unbeaten Jermaine Osbourne Edwards, who's from Wolverhampton, and if the introductions are anything to go by, he's got a few with him tonight. Fascinating one this, Rich.
Yeah, and he's confident, isn't he, Osbourne Edwards? He's undefeated. He's come out straight away on that front foot. So this is not an easy fight for Eithan James to come back to, remember. He got beaten his last contest and was well beaten, so he'll want to get back to winning ways. But this is tricky, this opponent here.
One thing he does want to avoid is a slow start. He's been down in the first round, Eithan James, in 2 of his last 4 fights. But I think if you were a betting man, the smart money would be on this being a long fight between them. They've had 24 fights. They've got 1 stoppage victory between them. That was for Osbourne Edwards back in 2021. I suppose the task for James tonight is to be too slick for Osbourne Edwards in there.
Yeah, that's what he's got to try and do. And he's got to try and box at distance the way he's doing here and try and catch Osbourne James as he's coming forward. But Osbourne James has actually landed a couple of good left uppercuts downstairs to the body. And that he may try that just to slow the feet down a little bit of James Fletch, and then he'll be able to get to him. See, there's another left hand that goes in. So he's targeting the body of the taller man, which is always a good thing to do against a taller opponent. So Osbourne Osbourne Edwards, should I say, he's confident, and it's a fast start from both of them.
James, the taller man, he's in the black and orange trunks. And the slightly crouching figure of Jermaine Osbourne Edwards, who's the older man in there. He's 35. He's the one with the unbeaten record, though. 11 victories, just the 1 stoppage win. And he's looking to make the busy start here in the first round of this one, scheduled for 10.
James just showed us a punch that he's going to try and land. He's obviously that right hand, but he's probably a little bit too far out. He's got to get a little bit closer to Osbourne Edwards to land that shot, and that's why the jab is very important for James to set up that punch up, to measure that gap in distance.
Well, there's been no feeling out process really here. Both of them keen to get to work, both of them throwing plenty of leather in this first round. It's a sweeping left hand from Osbourne Edwards that just fell a little bit short. His big challenge is to get inside that longer reach of Eithan James, and he's seen it on a couple of occasions in this first round that he's been able to do it.
Yeah, and what he's got to do as well, Fletch, is just time that left hand over the top. So he's got to keep the head moving like that. That's good head movement there. But he's got to try and punch off that. So it's counter-punching on the front foot, going forward, moving the head side to side, trigger the jab, slip it, and then whip that left hand over. That's what he's got to try and do, but he's got to get close to do that.
Boxing him now. Watch what he's doing, yeah? You can see exactly what he's doing. He's trying to run.
So welcome back to Birmingham. Richie Carter doing the talking in Jermaine Osbourne Edwards' corner. And while you were away, the biggest problem they had were actually removing the gum shield. It was stuck in there, and they literally had to wrench it out, Rich, didn't they?
Yeah. You know what though, Flex, that's a good thing. That's a proper gum shield that's fitted by a dentist, and none of this rubbish where it keeps falling down, because that shouldn't be a problem for a boxer, and certainly it isn't for Osbourne and Edwards.
I think they were 2 or 3 goes away from calling for a crowbar, but they got it out in the end, and here we are now out there for the second round. I always think when you watch Eithan James, he's got to be slick, and he's got to throw plenty of shots, and he's got to be on the move, because he doesn't have the kind of power that gets the respect of his opponent, does he? That one-punch knockout power. We've seen him struggle in fights based around that in the past, and his opponents now are acutely aware of that when they walk in.
Very good boxer, but lacks a little bit of power, and that's mainly because he's hitting and he's moving all the time, you see. He doesn't plant his feet. So what he's got to try and do, it's all in technique and bringing the opponent onto the shot, but then you've just got to hold your feet for a split second longer, and then you get a little bit more power in the shot as the opponent's coming forward onto the punch. But a lot of the times he's hitting and he's moving, and that's difficult then to actually produce power when you're always on the move.
Osbourne Edwards has been the one coming forward so far, but he's a little bit low with that one. Kevin Parker just telling him to keep those punches above the waistband. Isn't short of support in here tonight, though, is he, Jermaine Osbourne Edwards? Not that far away in Wolverhampton. That might be lacking a few of his own supporters tonight, Eithan James, based on the fact Northampton Town, his football club, are playing Kettering in a local derby in the FA Cup tonight, so they've had to make a decision, his supporters, whether they came here or whether they followed the football, but there's certainly a few in supporting Osbourne Edwards from Wolverhampton.
Yeah, it's only down the road, Wolverhampton from here. Osbourne Edwards starting to get to James. When he closes that gap down, still targeting the body. He's listening to his coach, Richie Carter, in the corner there from Wolverhampton. Good coach, Richie. I remember him. He was a good middleweight himself when he boxed as a pro. And I heard him say in that corner at the end of the round, keep targeting the body. Because he knows he's a good mover, you see, James. And that's why he's instructed Osbourne Edwards there, just to keep hitting him downstairs to slow the feet down.
Decent right hand got through there from Eithan James. Final 30 seconds or so in the second round. Both of them continue to be busy in there.
The tempo at this stage is suiting James Fletch, no question. He's controlling that tempo. So Osbourne Edwards has got to up the tempo here and just put on a little bit more pressure, be a little more dynamic, throw the punches and 3s and 4s and try and back James up. But James is controlling things very well behind that lead hand, ring position's good, staying in the centre of the ring. He's boxing well at this stage, James.
So people at ringside tonight, Royston Barney-Smith is here, Joe Cordina as well, third round. This eliminator for the English welterweight title between Northampton's Eithan James in the black and orange and Wolverhampton's Jermaine Osbourne Edwards. We'll see tonight if James is over the Cooper defeat. He was down in the first, pulled out before the 10th and final round. His lack of power did seem to count against him that night. Cooper was happy to walk forward all night. We'll see what kind of adjustments overall that Eithan James may or may not have made. This is the first time, by the way, that Osbourne Edwards has fought anywhere other than Wolverhampton. And he won the Midlands Area Super Lightweight title 2 fights ago. And he does say that he feels better now he's just gone up in weight to welter. He says it suits him a little bit better.
Yeah, he's a tough kid, Osbourne Edwards. But again, James is just controlling the pace. So Osbourne Edwards, he's got to start doubling up his attacks a little bit, Fletcher, and sustain pressure a little bit more. He's got to put James under a little bit more pressure with sustained pressure and doubling up his attacks. That's what he's got to do here, Osbourne Edwards.
That seems to be a punch that he's trying to land, that looping right hand, and we've seen him throw a looping left as well from a long way back, Osbourne Edwards.
He's got to get a little bit closer, hasn't he? But that's better. See, that's where he's got to target James. But James instinctively there got back to the centre of the ring. Just drifted mentally there, and he just got caught. It's not a bad shot either from Osbourne Edwards there. Left hand over the top as James switches to southpaw.
It's a good solid body shot from Eithan James. You can see the challenge in there facing Osbourne Edwards to get inside the long levers to be close enough to land his punches. A lot of the punches he's throwing at the minute are falling short because he's just too far out, Richard.
Too far out, and the ring position, he's got to try and push James back to the ropes. That restricts the movement then of James. He can either go left or right along the ropes, and basically then when a fighter does that, his feet mainly come square, so he's got to try and get him back back to the ropes. That's what he's got to do. While James is centre of the ring, he seems to be controlling it fairly comfortably.
He's found a nice rhythm in the last couple of rounds. Eithan James, he's been the boxer in control in there. And there's the bell to end the third.
He's literally got a fucking backhand to the
Welcome
body,
back to Birmingham.
and it's just
That's James Conway doing the talking in the corner of Eithan James.
Just drift away from the backhand and you've got an easy night here.
I was saying to him between rounds, he just wanted to be slightly quicker when Osbourne Edwards is close to him. The major difference between the two fighters tonight is the journey that they've been on. James had a really good amateur career, turned over with big ambitions and plenty of confidence. Osbourne Edwards is late to the party, but as this sport does, the paths have brought them together tonight. No matter where you're from, you eventually meet in the ring. That's what's happening with these two tonight.
I mean, he turned pro at 32, didn't he, Osbourne Edwards, which is very late indeed. But, you know, he's got good technique, and he's with a good coach, like I say, Richie Carter, and I mean, he's losing the contest, but he's in it. That's the main thing. And now and again, you know, he does bring something out the back, that left hand especially. He's just got to concentrate. He's just got to work at a quicker tempo for me, Fletch.
It's good work from James. He's got that one defeat on his record against Owen Cooper the last time we saw him. Osbourne Edwards unbeaten to this point. I think the big concern at the minute for Osbourne Edwards is he's allowing Eithan James to fight his fight in there, Richie.
Yeah, he is indeed. You know, he's letting him control the ring space. And basically, you know, James now is switching orthodox to southpaw. So that just shows you that he's confident and he feels quite comfortable in there. So something's got to change for Osbourne Edwards.
He's finding Osbourne Edwards easy to hit. Continues to pile up the points here. Eithan James halfway through the fourth. It's good boxing and moving again from Eithan James. here for Osbourne Edwards, which is to get pressure on him, which he's starting to do now. We saw Keenan Wainwright have some success against James when he put him on his back foot and started landing shots. Owen Cooper likewise.
There's a cut now, left eye of Osbourne Edwards. So that'll be interesting to see where that's come from, whether it was a punch or whether there's a head clash. But yeah, I think he's learning as he's going ahead here and going along, Osbourne Edwards, that he's got to box at a quicker pace and he's got to put more pressure on.
See the blood on the arms of Eithan James. That's from the cut above the eye of Osbourne Edwards.
Stop boxing, step back. Go. Every time you go, stop boxing.
Well, let's have a closer look at the damage.
Yeah, that's a bad cut, isn't it, Fletch? Gotta watch the blood there. We think that's where it came from, that clash of heads there. Yeah, there it is there. And the blood just runs down the side of the face, but they've got to watch now the blood doesn't actually go into the eye. That's going to be the problem there for the cutsman.
Press on them, yes? Yeah. Press on him. Yeah.
Ben Wilkes is the man who's working on the cut of the eye of Jermaine Osbourne Edwards. Well, there's the smiling face of Liam Davis, the IBO Super Bantamweight champion, who's top of the bill tonight against Shabazz Massoud. There's a bit of needle, both of them are unbeaten. And Liam Davis is here. I mean, our replays seem to suggest it was a clash of heads. I think it's been classed as a punch that caused it, Richie. So that's what the referee said.
Well, it looked a definite clash of heads, didn't it, from our camera angle? But well, there you go. That's a bit of a surprise, really, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I mean, we can only go by what we've been told, but I mean, the images on the television certainly seem to indicate the damage was caused by the heads coming together, but that's not the way that Kevin Parker saw it. So is that going to change the game plan of either man in there? James continues to land often in there, working behind that at the moment. Southpaw right jab, he is a switch hitter, so we're going to see him box orthodox and southpaw when it suits him. And he's building up a nice lead here, you'd suspect, Richie, on the card.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's won nearly every round for me. I think he has got every round. Like I said, I think Osbourne Edwards occasionally shows us what he should be doing and what he can do, getting up close and whipping the odd shot over the top, but he's just got to keep it going. He's not sustaining that pressure enough for me, Fletch. I think James just handling the single attacks from his opponent, and Edwards has got to double them up and be a little bit more. He's got to put more front foot pressure on.
The blood flowing steadily from that cut over the left eye of Jermaine Osbourne Edwards. Halfway through the fifth. Looks nice and confident in there, doesn't he, James?
Yeah, I mean, he's controlling things behind his lead and his knees, holding the centre of the ring very well indeed. So there's not a lot of pressure coming from his opponent, Osbourne Edwards, who's probably naturally slowing down a little bit now. And that's literally because of the work rate from James. He just can't get past that lead hand, can he? Either way, either orthodox or southpaw when James switches. It's that lead hand that Osbourne Edwards is having problems with getting around and slipping.
Not too much success in the fifth round here for Osbourne Edwards. He's been able to control things at distance. Eithan James picking his opponent off as he comes in, and there's the bell.
You have to pull that.
that is boxing. But what happened? Switched on. Everything's perfect, but we can't let him even have one shot around. I know he probably ain't got the power to hurt you, but we've got to show that we're getting better every time we get in the ring. Defend that fucking backhand, all right? Do not get lazy. Bit more. Drift away from it as well as keep working. He can't do jack shit with his southpaw, but you want to edge to it.
Deep breaths. Deep breaths.
It's a lot of work for Ben Wilkes to do on that cut between rounds. Let's have a look at the way Richie's got it right now. And he's given Eithan James the first 5, so by Richie's unofficial card, there's a lot of work to do in the second half of the fight for Jermaine Osbourne Edwards.
Well, that's how I see it, Fletch, and, you know, judges might see it differently. With a little bit more front foot pressure from Osbourne Edwards in the first couple of rounds. But I think he's definitely behind. And I think he knows that, coming out this round with a little bit more urgency, and that's what's needed. But needs to move that head. He's got to get up close and try and whip that left hand over the top. And it's difficult. James controls the space very well.
The 3 judges scoring the fight: Lee Every, Howard Foster and Marcus McDonald. The scorecard that you see from Richie, unofficial. We're in the second half of the fight now, scheduled for 10, the eliminator for the English welterweight title. Will Eithan James fall into that category as a frustrating opponent? He's not necessarily hurting Jermaine Osbourne Edwards, but Osbourne Edwards is finding him virtually impossible to pin down. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's frustrating for Osbourne Edwards because James... he's boxing well at distance, but he's just allowing James to control things in terms of the tempo. So James he really is in a comfort zone. Osbourne Edwards is a little bit flat-footed and, you know, missing with shots like that because he's a little bit too far out, and that's why he has to sustain that pressure. But if you sustain the pressure, then you could walk onto a punch, so that's why you need plenty more head movement. You've got to avoid the shot coming forward, most definitely. But the fact of the matter is, he's too far out with the attacks. He's got to get close. When he does try to get close, he tends to be picked off by Eithan James, who's put his punches together nicely tonight. No psychological scars, it appears, from the Owen Cooper defeat. Cooper, who, by the way, was sparring Osbourne Edwards in the build-up to this fight. They're quite good friends out of the ring, those two. But it's been James controlling it pretty much from the opening bell. And still, Osbourne Edwards needing to try and find a way in, and that was good work to the body from James in that particular exchange. Yeah, he's getting through with some better shots now, Eithan James. But he's a tough kid, you know, Osbourne Edwards, no doubt about that. But James is you can see him growing in confidence. What he's got to watch out for, he doesn't get too complacent. Osbourne Edwards still dangerous, that left hand over the top especially. But at this stage, you can see James growing more and more in confidence as these rounds are going on. So final few seconds of round number 6. Up next tonight, we're going to see a light heavyweight fight between Nottingham's Ezra Taylor and the Latvian Kristaps Bullmeisters. And as we hear the bell to end this round, we can head backstage, and Becky Ives is speaking to Ezra Taylor.
Ezra, a late change in opponent for you. Did that affect any preparations?
Nothing at all. I'm already prepared. I'm ready to fight. That's all I care for. I don't really care who's in front of me. Just got a job to do.
The light heavyweight division is huge right now. When you go out there, you want to make a statement every time?
I'm going to make a statement every time I step out there, regardless, man. I don't care about none of these other competitors. I don't compete with anyone else. I've got a job to do. I've got a ladder to climb, and that's what we're going to do tonight.
In your mind, how does this fight play out tonight?
I'm the winner from a destructive performance. There's nothing else. It's a sharp, elegant performance from myself, and something that we're all going to be happy with.
Ezra, best of luck. Thank you.
So that's Ezra Taylor, who's up next tonight. Kristaps Bullmeisters from Latvia is his opponent. It's a big night for boxers from Nottingham. Lamar Griggs kicked things off against Lewis Williams. We've got Ezra Taylor. Echo Essiman is fighting here as well tonight. It's not far as well, about 40 minutes down the M42 from Nottingham to Birmingham. So no doubt there'll be a fair few fans from Nottingham here to support those 3 fighters.
Yeah, great boxing town, hasn't it? Over the years. Nottingham. Carl Fletcher, of course. Super middleweight champ. What a fighter he was.
Yeah, Lee Wood's here tonight as well.
Yeah, Lee Wood.
So 4 to go. And the challenge for Osbourne Edwards is to get close enough to do some damage to Eithan James. He's a dad of 3, Osbourne Edwards, children ranging from 12 years to 6 months. So he's a busy man, Rich, when he's not in the ring. He's got his work cut out.
Yeah.
He's also a man who's turned his life around. He was a gang member in Wolverhampton. He lost his older brother and close friends to street violence. He's a deep character, relies a lot on meditation. And he's acutely aware of just how important tonight is, but he's finding Eithan James a very tricky opponent in there so far in this one this evening.
Yeah, it's a great story, you know. He's turned his life around. He's a tough lad indeed. He's just falling short here in this one, but he's game as they come and he's tough. So, and when you like that, Fletch, you're always in with a shout.
James boxing as a southpaw at the moment.
Earlier on in the contest, Osbourne Edwards targeted the body very early on. In the first 2 or 3 rounds, he's just all body shots. No, he doesn't go downstairs as much. But still, doing a little bit better in this round because he's a little bit closer to his opponent here. Well, that cut's opened up again, Fletch, you know, on Osbourne Edwards' left eye.
Stop boxing, step back, let go, let go.
It's in a place where you could quite expect the blood to flow into the eye of Osbourne Edwards and make vision from that side difficult. He's got to continue to try and get as close as he can, though, to Eithan James towards the end of round 7. Well, we saw Liam Davis arrive for work tonight, and there's his opponent, Shabazz Massoud, 28 years of age from Stoke, won all 13. And he's come here tonight to try and take the IBO Super Bantamweight title away from Liam Davis, but more importantly, put himself right in contention for a world title fight in the process.
Well, I think it's a fight, you know, neither of them can afford to lose, because if you win this one, then surely that one of them will get a shot at one of the 4 world titles, either WBO, WBC, WBA or IBF. This is the IBO title, but it's the less recognised crown. But the winner of this one, for me, I think will get a genuine, more prestigious world title shot.
So the Vaseline's been applied to the cup above the left eye of Jermaine Osbourne Edwards, and he comes out with 3 to go. And we suspect it's quite a wide margin lead at this stage for Eithan James. And the big challenge for the man from Wolverhampton is to try and land the kind of punch that can turn things in his favour.
Yeah, it's all or nothing now for Osbourne Edwards. 3 rounds to go. I think he's way behind. So he's just got to go for it, hasn't he? And he is doing it.
Has to dig deep, has to stay close, has to take a chance or 2 maybe. And try and land some shots that can cause some concern for Eithan James, who's been able to fight his own fight to this point and do things pretty much his own way from the opening bell. Now, what can Osbourne Edwards do by way of increasing the pressure?
This type of contest should suit Osbourne Edwards a little bit better. He's getting a little bit closer. He's got to try and find the right shots on the inside. but he's been outboxed at mid and long range, so he's got to work a little bit harder here. He's having opportunities now to land shots at short range, so he's got to take that opportunity.
Blood flowing from the cut again. Good work on the outside from James. Nice straight punches from the man from Northampton.
Break! Stop boxing. Get the ball free. Let him go, Jermaine. Break! Stop boxing. Let go. Let's go. Break! Stop boxing. Right away.
Short left up on the inside there. That was a quality shot from James. He landed the right hand before that, but that little sneaky left up on the inside as he moved forward. That was a good punch indeed. I think you've got to give Osbourne Edwards a lot of credit for his durability, Fletch. He's a fit boxer indeed.
Final few seconds of the 8th round, a round where Osbourne Edwards has got closer. And there's the bell.
That's right for me. Yeah, 2 rounds left. Come on, we've got to make this count now. We've got to make these 2 rounds count, Jim. Yeah, we've got 2 fucking rounds, yeah? 6 minutes. Look up. Come on. You want it, Jim? Come on. You want this? Come on, you want it? Yeah. We've got 2 rounds. We've got 2 rounds to put it right. Yeah? Come on. 6 minutes. Back in the changing room. We've got 6 minutes. Come on. Yeah? 3 or 4 minutes. Come on. Change everything here, Jim. Give it all you've got, son. Come on. 6 minutes if we change your life. Come on. We've got to change our work. Yeah.
Apologies if you heard a bit of language in the corner. I think if I was in there, though, at this time of night, I'd be saying the same thing, but apologies if you're offended. That's Richie's card. And it's a 5-point lead at this stage for Eithan James, so he's got to get James on the ground if Richie's card is anything to go by. There were just signs in the previous round that maybe due to fatigue starting to set in, he is able to get closer now to Eithan James, and when he can, Richie, he's just got to let his hands go.
On the inside, as you just said, Fletch, just got to let the hands go, work the body, switch the attack to upstairs, just find that bit of space. There's a real art to infighting at close range, but he's been given opportunities now. James is allowing him literally to get in close, because James is trying to land uppercuts on the inside himself. So that gives Osbourne Edwards opportunities to land shots, but he's way behind for me.
Stop boxing.
The English champion, by the way, is Sean Noakes, who's unbeaten in 8 so far. This is the eliminator to fight for the English welterweight title. Next up tonight, Ezra Taylor against Kristaps Bullmeisters from Latvia. Then we've got Eko Esserman against Ben Vaughan, Chantel Cameron against Patricia Bergholt, and then the main event, Liam Davis against Shabazz Massoud. Big swing there from Osbourne Edwards that missed by a distance, and now there's an issue with the lace.
Well, a little bit more success for Osbourne Edwards with a couple of his shots that he's throwing. James has got to just steady himself again and get back into that rhythm.
He's just taking the opportunity while he was having his bootlace retied to try and get the crowd back in it. As you could see, he's certainly enjoying his big night, isn't he, Jermaine Osbourne Edwards? There's no doubt about that. I think, Richie, when you come where he's come from, And you get to box on a card like this, in an arena like this, you have to enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. The biggest night of his boxing life up to now. And he's trained hard for it, you can tell him. He's took a lot of shots and he's fit, he's still in there. He's behind, but wasn't too bad from there, that left hand.
This corner urging him in. Osbourne Edwards know that time's against him. Final 30 seconds of the penultimate round. There's never really been a period in the fight where you felt that James has been under pressure. He's never been hurt at any stage. It's been a really controlled performance from James on his comeback. Remember, he was beaten last time we saw him against Owen Cooper. That can sometimes leave a mark, but there's been no evidence of that tonight.
No, he's got back to his boxing, hasn't he? He's boxed well in this contest. Eithan James controlled things very well.
Had a little switch off in the middle there. Just lost that concentration for a moment. All right. Plenty in ya. 3 minutes. Box his head off. Plenty of shots. Tight. Can't lose the fight. Yeah. Got to stay fucking tight. Only way we can fuck this up is get caught with a stupid shot. You got a drink?
No, I'm right.
Sorry?
Breathe. Hit him everywhere you've got to hit him, Jim.
I must say, Richie, the contrast
of
the two men in the respective corners. I mean, you can tell that Jermaine Osbourne Edwards has had to dig really deep to get to this stage of the fight. He looks like he could go again, doesn't he, at the moment, Eithan James?
Yeah, because he's controlled things, hasn't he, behind that lead hand, and he's boxed sensibly. He hasn't really got tied up, and he hasn't boxed in at close range for most of the contest. He's boxed at mid to long, and he's controlled it very well.
Nice smile on the face of the respective fighters as they touch gloves in centre ring, and no surprise that we've got to this stage. 24 previous fights, between them only one stoppage. Here we are in the 10th, and the crowd from Wolverhampton are trying to lift Jermaine Osbourne Edwards for a big finish.
Yeah, the crowd are with him now. And he's going to go for it, isn't he? Just missing there again, just inaccurate with that shot.
I must say, James looks as fresh as a daisy in there. 20 left in the tank of Eithan James. Osbourne Edwards showing the scars of battle. Crowd right behind their man. Lots of local support for Osbourne Edwards.
Yeah, James is, like I said, Fletch, boxed very sensibly, and he seems very calm in there.
The one thing that James Conway said to him between rounds was just box his head off, which is basically what he's done from the opening bell.
So this has been as much about concentrating as the physical side of it, really, Fletch, because you can't afford to switch off in a 10-rounder, in any pro contest, really. And Eithan James, he stayed switched on throughout this, because the lapse in concentration, then Osbourne Edwards could be right in it. He was giving everything. Fair play to Osbourne Edwards. Like I say, this is his biggest night of his career, but Eithan James has controlled it very well.
I think you've got to give the team in the corner credit that the cut's not got significantly worse. It's a nasty cut in not a very good position, but they kept it under control in the main, and it's not been too much of a decisive factor against Jermaine Osbourne Edwards, who's got less than a minute now to try and find something. All the control and all the class tonight has come from Eithan James. Great noise inside the venue, though.
Yeah, the crowd are really trying to get behind Osbourne Edwards, aren't they? Can he produce a knockout shot? He's got to be behind. But this is not a bad round for him, actually.
He's only got 20 seconds to find it. Blood flowing down the side of his face. James cruising towards the final bell. Osbourne Edwards looking for the big shot, running out of time. James continues to put the punches together. Osbourne Edwards, who's trained so hard for the fight, is giving everything in there tonight. So that's going to be, I suspect, a comprehensive win for Eithan James when we hear the scores from the judges. But isn't it great to see the big smiles on the faces of both men? A contest fought in a fantastic spirit, and look how much he's enjoyed his night, Jermaine Osbourne Edwards.
Yeah, all credit to him, fair play to the lad. He's enjoyed his moment here, hasn't he, Osbourne Edwards? I think Eithan James has won it, but Osbourne Edwards, all credit to him, he's given everything, and there's his dad.
Yeah, there's Michael, his dad, who walked him in tonight. It was a night for the family. He played the drum all the way to the ring, and then he's watched his son give a really good account of himself in there tonight. Jermaine Osbourne Edwards, I suspect the unbeaten record may fall here, and Eithan James is going to be on the verge of a fight for the English welterweight title, but he's going to hear the cheers of his supporters, because the journey he's been on as a man to get here tonight is hugely significant, and why shouldn't he enjoy it?
Yeah, absolutely. Fletch, where he's come from, what's happened to him in his life, he's turned it around, and now, you know, everything's positive about his life now, and that's fantastic for the lad.
I always say, Richie, it's not about where you come from, it's where you get to, and he's turned himself around in a wonderful way. But a word on Eithan James tonight. He needed a performance like that based on what happened to him against Owen Cooper, and he fought the fight that he wanted to fight in there this evening.
Yeah, listen, this was a tricky contest to come back to, wasn't it, having suffered that defeat, the only defeat of his career. You know, Osbourne Edwards is undefeated, a southpaw. He's tricky, but James boxed well there.
OK, I think Thomas is ready. Let's get the official result.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds of boxing, we go to the judges' scorecards. Judge Terry O'Connor scores it 99-92. Judge Howard Foster scores it 99-91. And Judge Lee Every scores it 97-93, all in favor of your winner by unanimous decision. And now the winner of the Eliminator for the English welterweight championship, Eithan Jamie James.
So smiles again, and a big smile on the face of Jermaine Osbourne Edwards in defeat tonight. Eithan James is back. He's now in pole position to fight for the English welterweight title, and he's put the loss to Owen Cooper squarely behind him, and he can now look forward with confidence.
And he absolutely will. What I love is the mutual respect between these two fighters in the ring tonight. A great fight, great entertainment, but so much respect for them. And we'll have a little bit of a chat about Jermaine Osbourne Edwards in just a second. But for Eithan James, career back on track. The English welterweight title up next as well, which is a potential Queensby versus Queensbury, because Sean Noakes is the current holder. We find out what happens there on December the 7th.
Yes, and that's a particularly good little fight. I like that one. And what we saw Eithan James there, when you're coming from, when you lose on an unbeaten sequence where you're dominating everybody, so it was a big jump to get back, and we got from Eithan James what we get from Eithan James. He does everything just about right, and to beat him, you've got to really put your foot down. Jermaine tried, by the way. He tried.
He did.
Yeah, look, Eithan James is a lovely set of skills. I think he's a really pretty, neat boxer.